All right. So yeah, what I said yesterday was, remember, with the white box test, which is that type of test, you're showing your world to everybody. Hopefully you got something underneath it. But the open kimono, remember the open kimono? I said that. And then, yeah, I know, not really that funny. Uh, we have some, but not all the information about the internal workings of a system. All right. All right. So this one is something that we all do, and we actually offer it here. So if you guys are interested, we'd love to give you a demo of some of our software that offers this right here. But blank, blank, blank is the process of exposing people to recognize them and better respond to them. Yes, Doug. Good. This is something that I'm sure every one of us has done recently. No, Jennifer. But you know what? Kudos for you for making up those three words next to each other. I mean, that's creative. I mean, those three sound wonderful, right? So if you're working for me and I need to expose you to security issues, I can't give you the word here because it'll give it away. But if I got to learn you to security issues, how would I learn you to security issues? I can't say the other word because then it would give it away. No, Ryan. But putting those three words next to each other, I mean, that earns it right there, man. I mean, that itself is fantastic. So we were looking for security awareness training. Yeah, that would have given it away. I said I got to teach you, that would have given it away, right? That's the process of exposing people to security issues so that they may better recognize them and respond. So if you have a violation, if you violate, usually you won't get let go, right? What are you going to do? They're going to put you through security awareness training. You're going to have to, do that. So security awareness training. I would probably training will be one of the answers on this exam. Um, all right, this is a good one. This next one, and you should get this. You should get it. Blank blank in the context of information security is the process of manipulating individuals so that they perform actions to violate security protocols. Yes, Ryan. Good. Yes, Jennifer. Good. Alicia, fantastic job. Doug, yes. Brandon, yes. Yes, Amos. Fantastic job. All right, how about this next one here? Blank is digital communication, usually email. Email. Jennifer, try again. Ryan, yes. Alicia, yes. Amos, yes. Jennifer, you're around it. You're around it. Yep. I mean, and you're using the right words. Hopefully, those two words aren't in the same questions, the set of 4 questions on the exam. Usually it's email, right? So email. Yeah, we can spoof an email. We can impersonate an email. Brian, help me out here, man. Is there a way that I can do it without giving it away besides saying it like that? Say again? Oh, that may be that may be too easy right there. But you know what? Doug, I like that. Emission. Emission. Maybe we should trademark that. Okay. Jennifer? Fantastic. Yeah, we're going to give it to you. So we were looking for fishing right there. Certainly it could be spear fishing. It could be bush impersonation, but really at a high level, fishing is what we were looking for in that regard. Good. All right. This one, I mean, I guess all of them, you either know or you don't. But if you've ever had to put together a quad chart or write a report, then you know what these are. Yes, Alicia, good. Ryan, fantastic. Doug, yes. All right, so we were looking for key performance indicators there, KPI. KPI, and usually, those are, if you Google that, if you don't know what those are, look it up in your book. Usually, they're consistent, but basic metrics from any security assessment or any security appliance. There'll be number of attacks, maybe you can do a ratio. Number of events. There's a litany of different KPIs that you can report on. But if you are confined by a single pane of glass, like a user interface, then you want to be concise with what you are providing to customers. All right, this next one, I'm probably going to get a few whack answers. And if you're in the ballpark, I'll give it to you. Blank types of user accounts pose a significant risk to the organization and should be carefully managed and controlled. I would also say that we either read something or we talked about yesterday that these should be periodically reviewed. Right? No, that's not it. Doug, yes. Good. Alicia, that is it, but it's actually called something else. Same with you, Amos. It's actually called something else. Brandon, yes. But Alicia and Amos, you guys are correct. That's the right one, but it's actually also called something else. Jennifer, yes. I don't know if I said yes already. Did I? Yeah. Okay. Buried in there. So I always struggle whether or not that word has a D in there near the G, but it's just G. Just G. Okay, so we're looking for privileged user accounts. Also, root or admin or administrator. Yeah, all of that is the same. Um, so sometimes we'll hear, you know, of like this right here. And so you can call it root or administrator. Certainly you can, but sometimes you hear the attack called a privilege escalation. So privileged user account would be like a root user account or an administrator, something that has elevated privileges. Uh, what about there's a couple more I want to do here. What is a constrained user interface? A constrained user interface. Yeah, I don't know about that, Doug. I mean, we could probably have a good discussion on whether or not that's the correct answer. Yeah, yep, that's right, Ryan. Good. That's right. Yes, Doug. Good. Um, Amos. Yeah, yeah. Brandon. Yeah, I guess so. I guess so, Brandon. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Jennifer, that's a good way to put it. So check it out here. Let's see if I can draw it. If we have a constrained user interface, we do these all the time, where view, if the admin, let's say, has a view that can show the different accounts, uh, maybe shows some, all the different reports, um, and they're allowed to create accounts, delete. It shows login attempts, maybe audit information, and then down here it shows what the system is actually supposed to do. So this is kind of the admin, a privileged user account right here, right? So administrator, whereas a regular might only see system, the same. So these two objects or widgets here are the same. The privileged user account sees much, much more than the regular user. So this one would be a constrained user interface because they don't see everything within it. Now, certainly in this type of scenario right here, a role-based access control, because we have the ability to create roles. But Brandon, I would also agree with you from the user's perspective here. The user, this would be a mandatory access control from a user's perspective because you can't change your controls, right? So it's mandated to you. It's not at your discretion. Based access control, but for the user here, the user has mandated it. So from their perspective, it could be considered a mandatory access control because it is constrained. So that is a constrained user interface right there. And we see it all the time. We see that all the time. Make sense? Clear as mud? Opaque? All right. So now it might actually get a little bit easier for you because you guys seem like you were super excited about some of those questions. Let me go through and just make sure that we're on the same page here. And I'll ask you more about how about the identity management components here. Stand by. And so, we look back in the week, and we still are going to cover, 3 more domains today. But if we look back in the week, I mean, we've already covered a significant amount of information here. And this is usually one of my favorite classes to teach because, I try to learn as I go with some things that just feeding off of other people and some of the, because usually people that come and take this class are a little bit more seasoned, so typically they have a better understanding of things. All right, so if I say these 2 words here, and I'm just going to put it in here and we'll see if you do. Blank blank solutions include directories, web access management, password management, single sign-on, account management. I said yesterday, this is what I consider the glue or the tentacles into every other thing within what we're learning this week. Ryan, I would agree with you that that's probably correct, but it's at an operational view, an OV1 here, not the actual. Jennifer, same with you. Take it up even higher than that. Second word is right, but the first word is not right. It starts with an I. The first word starts with an I. Jennifer, yes. Doug, yes. Ryan, yes. Brandon, no. It rhymes with smidentity. No, that's not good. Yes, good. I did that. We have a Security Plus class that we've been doing on Tuesday and Thursday. And last night was the first time that I taught it remotely at my house. And my son walked into the office that I have there at the house, where he was like walking by and he heard me. Every time that I say that it rhymes with something, I do like some identity, because it's kind of a silly way to get people to understand it. And he kind of looks at me, he's like, "That's not a word." Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Not a word. Right. I get any Scrabble points for that. My mom would not be happy with me making up words. She would actually probably challenge it. No, it's not a word. Oh, yeah, it is, Mom. It's a mountain range in the south of France. In the Provence, in the south of France. All right, let's keep moving here. So I remember I said yesterday, one of the each of these domains, and really the sub pockets of the 10,000 foot wide, 1 inch deep. So there's 10 information technology and information security. Uh, One of the things is identity management, and the automation of that is a huge industry, huge industry. So if this is cranking your tractor, you may want to look at doing actually this next question here. An automated component is a account management product that provides identity. I said most companies try to implement this. They spend a ton of money. Yes, Ryan, that's right. Jennifer, no. They spend a bunch of money trying to get away from the sneaker net to this right here. Simple word. Here for anybody? Seems like you're. Oh, Brandon got it. Brandon, do we have a hint for anybody here? We don't want to give it away, right? An automated blank component is a common account management product that provides identity management solutions. Amos, good job. Yes. A hint for this could be here's a hint. You send requests for access. An automated blank component is a common account management. So instead of the sneaker net, we can send almost said it. We send a request for access here using this. But yeah, how would I don't know how. Alicia, that's coming next. That one's coming next. But yes, you're right. That's not the word I was looking for here. So this one rhymes with smorkflow. Jennifer, yes. Doug, there we go. Good, good, good. All right, yeah. So we were looking for workflow there, workflow. And then when we talked about identity management yesterday, we used a really fancy word that oftentimes is I think about word right here. User blank refers to the creation. Yes, that's right. Right. Maintenance. Yes, Doug. Good. And deactivation of user objects and attributes as they exist in one or more systems, directories, or applications. Jennifer, fantastic. Alicia, awesome job there. Awesome job. Amos, no, that's not it. Word, right? Starts with P. I don't even know what that rhymes with. Yes, there we go. Good. Great job. Great job, Amos. All right. So it looks like everybody put provisioning in, user provisioning, right? It aren't MREs provisions, like they say provisions. What are your provisions that you have? Spent a lot of time on this one yesterday, and hopefully I didn't beat the dead horse, but we're going to find out because if you remember it, then I feel like I hit a home run with it. The HR database is considered the blank source for user identities because it's where each user identity is first developed and properly maintained. Boom, shakalaka. Doug. So Jennifer, you and Ryan, you guys spelt it the same way. That's not the right way, but yes. I mean, I told you earlier I was not going to knock anybody for spelling it. Brandon spelt it correctly. Yes. Doug, I like your answer. I mean, yeah, you're right. Amos, I like both of those answers. The main and the go-to source. Yeah. I mean, yes. Good, Alicia. Good, Amos. Good. Great job. Good. All right. Good job on that. All right. How about their? Oh yeah, you guys are gonna like this one. Gonna like this one. There are three main access control modules or models. What are they? Yes. Yes. Good. Both of you guys, Ryan and Jennifer. Fantastic. Alicia, good. Usually that one is not one of the top three because um, I don't want to say it because I'm also gonna say that one in a few minutes, but in firewalls or like logic driven, you know. So the rule, excuse me, usually is not one of the top one. Discretionary, mandatory, and rule are usually the top three. But good chance you're going to see rule on your exam as well. Usually firewall or access control list. Like access control lists are usually in firewalls. Have you seen one of those before, like a source, destination, like a IP tables almost, where it can control, allow, deny, access in, out, or out. I mean, you can get it working that way, right? For my master's, I took a class, and it was I got pretty good with IP tables in a virtual machine, right? And so before that, I played with it a little bit, but I was never paid to play with it. But for a grade, I had to spend a little bit of time learning IP tables. So the professor ended up getting a nasty gram from me after I took the final because the final for that exam, I had, been a command line junkie in Linux. So if if you give me a Linux box, I can configure just about anything, right? And so I got really, really good with IP tables, but if you ask me to put it down on paper, I can't, I don't have the man file, and it was just like, couldn't recall all the different commands. I still ended up getting an A in there, but if we have the whole virtual, where we're playing around with virtual machines and getting machines to talk to each other, and then you give a final exam to paper, at least give me an idea that it's going to be paper first. Because if I got to write firewall rules on paper, that's a big difference between me typing it out. So it was just not as intuitive. So the answers there that I was looking for are discretionary access control, mandatory access control, and role-based access. I love the spelling of one of those, man. That looks fantastic. All right, let's go to this one. This type of access control enables data owners to dictate what subjects have access to the files and resources that they own. When I started playing with IP tables, it seemed, at first I was just like, oh, this sucks. But then I started playing with more and more. I was like, okay, yeah, it's really easy. But at first it was, you got to learn syntax. Now I complain about that final, but I still was able to write it down on paper. But if I didn't play with it, it's kind of like me giving you the fill in the blanks here. If you've not done it before, or you've not seen it, it's a little bit more difficult than just a multiple guess. Yeah, it'll throw an error, an exception. Yeah. Where on paper, that one, so access control that gives the data owners. So, for your machine, if you own the data, you dictate what people can have access to. That's going to be discretionary, right? So it's going to be at your discretion. So discretionary access control, or DAC, is what I was looking for there. All right, let's look at, let's shift gears here and go over to put your biometrics thinking cap on. Don't look it up. This type of error in biometrics means the system rejected an authorized individual, right? So you probably don't remember, or if you do, then great. But think to yourself immediately when you get this question on your exam, is this okay? Right? Is it okay? Because if it's okay, remember, that's not how they, Ryan, that's not how they say it. The second word there is not how they say it. Brandon, no. Alicia, yes. All right, look at that answer, Jennifer. Yeah, look at that answer and then read the question again. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So type 1 is a false rejection rate, right? Means the system rejected an authorized individual. And then type 2, remember, is a FAR, false acceptance. Remember, that's no good. No good. We do not want to falsely accept somebody from doing that. Let me give you an example here. So when I was at NASA, we evaluated some biometric systems. And I learned more than I ever wanted to know about biometric systems. Well, while I was there, many, many, many moons ago, would be able to enroll ourselves into the system with a fingerprint, typically the index finger. And at lunchtime, I would typically go and play basketball. There was probably, I don't know, 20 or so men 3-4 times a week. What they would do is right down the street from where I was working, 4306 on post. Around 10:58 every day, or a little bit before 11, I would, get in the car and just kind of scoot out and go over there, and I would dress out in the locker room and then go out onto the court. And if I didn't get there before 11:05, like if I got there at 11:06 or 11:07, I would have to wait 20 minutes to get into a game because people would show up like right at 11:05, and so I would try to get there before that every. And depending on whether or not we played and won would also be consistent with how long I would stay there, because you may not get another game in if you lost. So I would play, and then I would go back into the gym and shower, and then dress back into the work clothes, and then head back to the office. Well, when I would go back to the office, because my heart rate would still be elevated from exercising, coming in, when we would go and play with these biometric devices, a lot of times after lunch, what I would do is, I'd go and start to play with them to see if we could program them and see how we were going to implement them at the agency level. A lot of times after lunch, what they would do is they would kick back a type 1 error. So they would falsely reject me. And so we had 4 or 5 vendors that we were evaluating in a lab stations, and it was consistent across all of the different vendors that this anomaly would happen after I would come back from lunch. It would also happen with on the total counter of that, we had an old fella who was a Vietnam veteran who great guy, super funny. He was the project manager. He smoked Pall Malls like a chimney. And he would go out every 15 or 20 minutes. So he'd come in and try to get in to the door, and he would also be falsely rejected. And so there was kind of a deviation. One would be, somebody like him who is, I guess, a lower heart rate because he was kind of buzzing a little bit, right? And then me with an elevated heart rate or perspiration. And so one of the vendors said, typically, what the enrollment process capture systems that protect assets like doors or your computer or whatever, what they'll do is when you enroll, you usually will have to do it 3 times. And what it does is it takes the resting heart rate, it'll take a pulse through your finger, and then it tries to triangulate, I think, 27 different points on your minutia on your fingerprint. And because of that, we would oftentimes, not only from him, because he was right-handed and filtered cigarette, the nicotine would get on his fingers and almost put like a little layer of film over his fingers. So when he came to put it on the reader, it would falsely reject him. Or if he would go maybe and wash his hands and then try to come back, because his heart rate was outside of a standard deviation, a normal standard deviation of what was captured, it would change, right? It would change it, and so the system would reject him. Same with more elevated, and it would take a look at that and say, hey, that's outside the standard deviation. But also the perspiration that was on my finger sometimes would also reject me. Well, one of the guys said, and this is just a little tidbit, that you could actually run your hands through your hair to get, and I'm losing my hair, so I may not be able to do this much longer, but you could run your hands through your hair, and by doing that, you get the oil, and you can put that on there to kind of give you the oil to give the curves of the minutia on your finger. And when I started doing that, I would find that with less frequency, I would be rejected. And so with those systems, you can also go in and expand that standard deviation for these type of anomalous things that happen, and help the system learn that, hey, with Smokey the Bear, that standard deviation, or with me, or other people maybe have other things that they do. But if it would take somebody who has not been enrolled into our system, the biometric system that's protecting the super secret lab that we're creating, and it would take that imposter and accept that imposter, that is a no-no. And so in our bake-off, where we had these 5 different vendors, 4 of ours. Well, we had one vendor that we did. We got one FAR, and it was early on in the project, right? But when it was time to fish or cut bait, 4 of them didn't have any of those errors, so we still trusted those systems. One of them got an error, one error, and it's unfortunate because that was a multi-million-dollar project. That was the one that got cut first because of that false acceptance rate, right? Type 2 error, and so in the crossover, lower because they didn't have any of them. That one, it skewed it not in their favor because they had a false acceptance rate. So keep that in mind as you're going through and doing that. So type 1 means the system rejected an authorized individual, right? An FRR. Type 2 means an imposter was authenticated. All right, we'll do more of these, and then I'm going to take whatever we're going to jump into. So this is something that we should, as IT security people, we should practice blank blank principle that limits users' rights to only what they need to perform their job task. Right, Doug? That's right, Jennifer. Good. Amos, fantastic job. Alicia, good. Brandon, good. Ryan, good. Good. We were looking for least privilege principle there. What about this? 3 words here, and I think there may be actually a hyphen in there. Capabilities can be through Kerberos. Yeah, good. Doug, fantastic. Alicia, good. Amos, fantastic. Yeah, we were looking for a single sign-on there. Single sign-on for that one. What about this one right here? This one may be a little bit more difficult for you, but hopefully not. Doug, yes. Good. Alicia, yes. There's a key word in there. Ryan, yes. Brandon, yes. Jennifer, yes. Great job. So the key word there is ticket. Ticket, please. Ticket granting, ticket granting service. Tickets. One is Kerberos. Good. This next one brings back memories. And I mentioned yesterday that there was a guy in 1917 who came up with this technique that he called the perfect type of secrecy. And it has lasted 103 years. He called, and these types of things are protected. Devices that can use synchronous timer events or asynchronous challenge-based methods. There's a good chance that you've used this in the last couple of months, I bet. So it stood the test of time. Jennifer, yes. Doug, yes. That last word we could argue about, Doug. Brandon, last word's a little bit different. Alicia, no. Ryan, no. It has to do with the song. Are you down with this? Yeah. So it's not actually OPP, it's OTP, right? One time password or one time pad. We talked about that yesterday. Now we get a text on our phone typically. That could be an implementation of two-factor authentication, but also OTP, one-time password, one-time pad. Yeah. That can also be, remember we talked about it yesterday, this thing called, so keep that in mind. So one-time password, one-time pad. All right, the last one here I think we're going to do, and then we'll take a quick break and then come on back. So that last one, that the blank device is one-time password or one-time pad is what I was looking for here. This one is something that I think I said 2 or 3 times yesterday. But blank, if you are requiring 2 of the 3 user authentications attributes, you're practicing blank. Yes, Ryan. Yes, Jennifer. Amos, yes, but that's not what I'm looking for. Alicia, that's not what I'm looking for, but yes. Doug, yes. The first word, yes, Doug. Second word, come up with something different. Brandon, the first, yeah, that's right. But usually it's called something else in the industry. That first word's called something else. If you use 2 of the 3, we say that you have, I think I had Ryan flex some muscles yesterday for us to show us. Okay, good. Yeah. So I was looking for strong authentication there. Strong authentication requires 2 attributes: something a person knows, something a person has, or something a person is. 2 of those 3. All right, let's take a quick 10-minute break here. It's 10:10, and come on back at 10:20, and then we're going to go ahead and jump on in to probably software development security. Okay, let's see if I can fix this.
financial and economical flight index and the star, they get the profit. And so when I was first doing it, and I was at the maps and trying to get my fingerprint, they couldn't get it to match the amount of points that it needed, so I had to use little finger. And it's funny, from every point, even to this day, whenever I go
So anybody who's listening, it sounds like they got a couple people saying that I'm breaking up. I don't know if it's the audio or video. So I'm going to disconnect and then reconnect. So if you're on break, back in a minute. So you may have to rejoin the meeting, is what I'm saying.